What's the story with this kid Tannen jerk anyway?
Biff's father? By this time next year, he'll be pulling down a life sentence in San Quentin. There was even a song about it.
Wait, if Biff will be born in 1938, and Kid will be in prison...
As I recall, he escaped from prison in 1937 for about 3 hours.
That's a busy 3 hours.
No kidding.
So how are Clara and the kids?
They're fine. Right now we're trying to decide where to send Jules and Vern to college. Clara prefers the 2020s, but I'm partial to the 1960s. We're planning on visiting you and Jennifer in 2011 soon.
Me and Jennifer? In 2011?
Oh, forget I said anything.
Where'd the DeLorean come from? The last time I saw it had been smashed to pieces by a train.
It's a fantastic story. Do you remember when the DeLorean got struck by lightning in 1955?
Yeah?
Unbeknownst to either of us, the lightning produced a temporal duplicate of the time machine, one that was tossed 70 years into the future.
What?
I found out about it during a trip to 2025 and recovered it just in time to stop Griff Tannen from vandalizing the time stream.
Evie, so that DeLorean...
is for all intents and purposes the exact same machine as the original. Plus or minus little bells and whistles I've added over the years, of course.
What do you know about Edna Strickland?
Edna? We never really socialized when I was younger. She was a few years older than me, and we traveled in different socio-economic circles. Why do you ask?
She thinks you're a hero for burning down that speakeasy. She's doing a story on you.
A story? Oh, yes, now I remember. Ask Edna, the etiquette column that doubled as a pro-temperance soapbox. She believed that the consumption of alcohol would inevitably lead to a complete societal breakdown.
Sounds like a fun gal.
You should have seen her when the hippies started showing up in the 60s. She just somehow lost her mind.
That would explain a lot. I know this really isn't the right time or place, but I found your notebook.
Ah, so that's where I left it. Why'd you bring it here?
Because the bank's selling off all your stuff.
They can't do that.
That's what I keep trying to tell them.
Well, you hold on to it for safekeeping. We'll deal with my financial situation in 1986 after we saved me from a grisly death in 1931.
I'm still not making any headway with your younger self, Doc.
Really?
What does this expo have to do with you muttering all the time?
When I was younger, I used to relieve stress by working on complex mathematical conundrums. No doubt my younger self is working on some impossible problem in an attempt to work off cerebral steam in the weeks before the exposition. What was I muttering about?
I don't know. H to the something with an inverse of something else. I'm not so good at equations.
That's too bad. I bet if we could solve my younger self's problem, he'd be more inclined to listen to you.
Let's talk about your younger self's problems later.
Okay, but don't forget we're on a bit of a deadline here.
Will you just give me a chance?
Harassment's a federal crime, Mr. Corleone.
Sounds like you're a little scared of your father.
Scared of my father? Hop is the most learned, just, incorruptible judge that Hill Valley has ever seen. The only people scared of Judge Brown are people with a dark secret to hide. And I don't have a dark secret to hide.
Emmett, about
Don't
your...
say it. Mass times acceleration, of course. That's Newton. But how many Newtons are required?
Will you just give me a chance?
Harassment's a federal crime, Mr. Corleone.
Sounds like you're a little scared of your father.
Scared of my father? Pop is the most learned, just, incorruptible judge that Hill Valley has ever seen. The only people scared of Judge Brown are people with a dark secret to hide. And I don't have a dark secret to hide.
Emmett, about
Don't
your...
say it. Oh, no. I'm gonna be the inverse.
Will you just give me a chance?
Harassment. Federal crime, Mr. Corleone.
Emmett, about
Don't
your...
say it. A multiplied by the inverse of A, my... Don't think, Emmett, think. H to the A multiplied by the inverse of A. H to the A multiplied by the inverse of A. Stands for the one-dimensional harmonic. Later, then naturally H to the A multiplied by the inversion of H. Don't think, Emmett, think. H to the A multiplied by the inverse of A. H to the A multiplied by the inverse of A. That's gonna be the... Don't think, Emmett, think. H to the A multiplied by the inverse of A. H to the A multiplied by the inverse of A. First, inverse. I have to line up. Oh, no. It's not possible. No.
I don't think so.
Now, if H stands for the one-dimensional harmonic oscillator, then naturally H to A multiplied by the inversion of H has to come out less than the expectation value of A, right? No. What am I missing here? Or do we take H to stand for the Hermitian line operator? Don't think, Emmett, think. H to the A multiplied by the inverse of A. H to the A multiplied by the inverse of A. Wait, is that even possible? Oh, let's start. Force equals mass times acceleration.
Doc will flip when he hears his own voice.
How many newtons are required to maintain a constant mass if acceleration is reduced by the inverse of the derivative of the speed relative to the speed of light?
So, Doc, does this ring a bell?
Oh, think, Emmett, think. H to the A multiplied by the inverse of A. H to the A multiplied by the inverse of A.
Good grief! Is that me? I sound so...
Young?
I was going to say intense. I forgot how wound up I used to get.
Yeah, but what are you muttering about?
Oh, that's easy. It's Ivanov's conundrum. Just tell my younger self that H equals the Hamiltonian operator.
Won't giving him the answer mess up the time stream?
Only if it turns out that reality is actually nothing more than a holographic illusion created by the interplay of subatomic particles on a vast two-dimensional membrane.
So...
It'll be fine.